right, here's another situation, and look at what you have. And I'm just gonna try to. Oops. There we go. I was gonna try to do a nice perfect square. That's not too bad. All right, so there we go. We've got what's this big angle right here? We'll call this 1 and 2. The combination of 1 and 2 makes how much? 90 degrees. Okay. So angle 1. Let's set up a little math problem. Angle 1 plus, what do you think? Angle 2 equals what? 90 degrees. Do you see that? So those two angles form that right angle right there. We give a special name for this. Do you remember this? Okay, or did you ever learn it? I know you might have learned it. They're called complementary angles. Did you learn this before? Okay, good. Complementary. All right. It's not complement with an I, all right, like you're saying something, oh, your hair looks so nice today. It's not that kind of compliment, okay? It's complementary angles where they add up to 90 degrees. So two angles that add up to 90 are complementary angles. We're going to use that quite often. Now look, they don't have to be in the, they don't have to be in the same angle. It's not, they don't have to be, tell me something about 1 and 2. Guys. They don't have to be adjacent angles right here. And they are adjacent angles, aren't they? They don't always have to be adjacent angles to be complementary. You can have any angles that add up to 90 degrees. So let's say I said that was 30 degrees, right? And then I have another angle, like right here, and let's say that that was 60 degrees. And they're not adjacent at all, are they? They don't have anything in common, all right? So they're not adjacent angles, but what do? 30 and 60 is what? It's 90, so what must be true about these two angles? They must be complementary, okay? Complementary. Complementary angles, they add up to 90 degrees. Remember that.
So they don't have to be touching.
They don't have to be touching or anything. They can be completely separate, non-related angles, except for the fact that they do what? That they add up to be 90 degrees. If they add up to be 90, they're complementary angles. To tell you the truth, for the most part, we're going to see a situation like this, okay, where we see one right angle and two angles that come out of it, and there'll be complementary angles. You got it? All right, let's do another one. So if these two add up to 90, what do you think the next one is? Okay, 180. So let's draw that. This. All right, here's a situation. Seems like I like to use 1 and 2 a lot, don't I? Might as well. It's right at the beginning of the numbers, right? All right, look at these two angles. Now, I didn't put a little box there or anything like that, but you see it forms a straight line, straight angle. So angle 1 and 2, angle 1 plus angle 2, if I add those up, what would that equal? 180 degrees. Good. And we have a special name for that. The other name for 90 degrees was complementary. Jaden, say it. Supplementary. These are called supplementary angles. All right, supplementary angles. So if they add up to 180, they're supplementary angles. Now I'm not going to draw this, but just like we said before with complementary angles, if I had two angles that add up to 180, they don't have to be adjacent to each other. These are adjacent, but they don't have to be. They could be completely separate angles that don't touch, that don't have anything in common, but if they add up to 180 degrees, then they're supplementary angles. A lot of people get that mixed up. Which one is complementary, which one is supplementary? But this is the way I look at it. This is, I mean, it's not like any kind of a trick or anything. To me, it's just kind of easy to see. 90 comes before 180, doesn't it? Yep. And C comes before what? S. So the complementary goes with the 90, and the supplementary goes with the 180. Okay, it's just whatever comes first, right? 90 comes first in the numbers, C comes first in the letters, so 90 and C go together. Make sense? That's how I remember it, and it's not too hard. All right, let's see what else we have here. We got an example. Okay, let's pause this and we'll write the example out. We got a few minutes to do this. All right, look at the example at the top of 48. I'm going to read it off for you, and if you want to look in the book, you can. It says, find the measures of two supplementary angles. All right, so I've got two angles. They're supplementary, which means what do the two angles do? They add up. Let's not say they equal 180. Let's say they do what? They add up. Or you could say, what's more of a fancy math word for things that add up? Sum. Very good. The sum of the angles, and that's what they use in the book, okay? I say add up just to make it a little easier for us to think about, but it says the sum of the angles is 180. So let's read it again. Find the measure of two supplementary angles. So I've got two angles that add up to 180. If the difference in the measures of the angles, what does that mean? difference. We subtract, okay? So watch what we have here. I've got, let's see if I could, this is what the book does. And this doesn't have to be exact, all right? But let's say we have this angle, and let's say we have this angle like that, all right? And let's pretend that this one and this one add up to 180. You with me on that? So let's call this angle, let's call it angle X. Now, if they add up to 180, what do you think we'll call this angle right here? Let's not call it Y, because that'll give us two different variables. In terms of X, now watch, I'll tell you what, let's forget the X for a minute. Let's say that was 130 degrees. And I said that these were supplementary. If that was 130 degrees, what would this angle be right here? It'd be 50 degrees. What did you do? What math did you do in your head? Say it, Jade. You subtracted what? What minus what? 180 minus 130. Okay? You went 180 minus 130, didn't you? Okay? Now look, let's pretend now that we don't know that this is 130, because we don't. We have no idea what that angle is. We know it's X. But how do you find this angle right here? That's it. That would be 180 minus X. Demir had it. We're fine. Okay, you get credit. All right, so watch. If this angle is whatever it is, what's the supplement of that angle? That's what we say. The supplement of an angle is 180 minus X. Do you follow me on that? Okay, so if we call this X, we're going to call this 180 minus X. Do you understand why we didn't call it Y? We didn't call it Y because we didn't want two variables. Do you remember in algebra when you had to solve for two variables, doing substitution and elimination? Do you remember that stuff in Algebra 1? It would be way too complicated, and you wouldn't be able to do it anyway because you wouldn't have enough information. But we call this X, we call this 180 minus X. Let's move on. It says, find the measures of two supplementary angles. Well, that's one angle, and that's another angle, right? Those are my two angles. If the difference in the two angles is 18, the difference, what does that mean I'm doing to these two things? I'm subtracting. So the difference in these two angles is equal to 18. Let's do it. You could do it either way. You could go X minus this, or you could go 180 minus X minus X. I'm going to do it that way. So the difference in the angles, that's this angle right here, right? The difference minus what? The other angle. What's the other angle? X. So that's the difference. See, that's one angle, right? That's the difference between the two angles, and it is, the measure equals 18. So what do we put? Equal sign and then 18. And now what are we going to do here? Well, we're not really going to distribute because this is just 180 minus X minus X. So it's 180. What's minus X minus X? Negative 1X minus 1X. It's negative 2X because it's negative 1 minus 1, isn't it? Remember, add a line, change sign. Great, or add the opposite. So it's minus what? 2X equals 18. Let's do the math. Subtract 180 from both sides. I don't know why, because I just was dumb. I was thinking of my next step. So it's minus 180 from this side. What? Oops, I should have. What am I doing? Okay, minus 180 from this side. Let's see what we get. That cancels out. Bring down the minus 2x. What's this going to be? Negative 1, what? 62. All right. Divide by negative 2. And what is that? 81, right? Positive 81. So that's what X is. That's what this angle is right here. It's 81. You're like, well, that doesn't look like 81. Yeah, but I had no idea if X was an obtuse angle or an acute angle to begin with, did I? I had no clue. It doesn't matter what our picture looks like. I know that this is 81. So how do I find the supplement of this? I subtract it from what? 180. So what's 180 minus 81? 180 minus 81, what's that? 99? Is that right? Okay, so 99 degrees is the other angle. I know it doesn't fit the look of the angles, but that's fine. It doesn't really make any difference. So, yeah, one is 8. Well, it doesn't really matter because I don't have to say, okay, the obtuse angle is 81. I just say one angle is 81 and the other one is what? 99. Okay, and that's all I do right there. Make sense? And do they add up to 180? Sure they do. Okay, that was a little bit confusing, but here's the key. If they say, find the measure of both angles and they're supplements of each other, you make one of the angles X and you make the other angle what? 180 minus X. What if they said complement? What if they said the complement of the angles? You'd say make one of the angles X and the other one what? 90 minus X. Good. All right, makes sense? Oh, man, I'm running out of time, aren't I? Let's do this really quick, real quick. You ready? Watch this. Yeah, you will. Just hang on. Don't leave when the bell rings, okay? The bell's going to ring soon. Oops. I just answered that question. Listen. Come on. Just listen to me right now, and I'll tell you everything you need to know. Look at these two lines right here. It's a right angle. We say that these two lines are what? This is probably something you've seen before. Are perpendicular. Okay? Perpendicular. Which means, what do they form? They form a right angle. So two lines that form a right angle or form 90 degrees are called what? Perpendicular lines. You with me? All right, that's really all you need to know about perpendicular lines. There is an example. If you want to look at the example, shh, listen. If you want to look at the example for perpendicular lines, go ahead and do that. Let me give you your assignment, and then you can go. We're doing pages 51 and 52. I don't know why I'm writing uphill, but 8 minus 30, or minus 8 to 32. All right, there you go. That's it. You can go now.